Welcome back to another episode of the Credit Pearls podcast. Today we have Eddie Walsh from Action Coach. Eddie is a business coach and he's going to give us insights into business, what goes right, what goes wrong and everything in between. So Eddie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks for the opportunity.
We'll start in a couple of minutes and talk about business, but just maybe give us a little bit of background about yourself, where you grew up, where you're from, who you are, Eddie Walsh.
Yes, okay. So I was born in a place called Cross,
okay,
which is in between the airport and Finglas.
Right, okay.
I think there's 36 houses.
Really?
I grew up in the country as such. We had fields beside us, barley and hay and all that sort of stuff every year in the summertime. And that's where I grew up. The city has come out to meet us
now, yeah.
Because the M50 now divides that little small village or hamlet or rural area from the main city.
Yeah,
but it's going to take over.
But it was the countryside back then, and it felt like it.
There's all sorts of logistics places and warehousing, and the airport is coming one direction and the city is coming the other.
Yeah,
so it's a completely different place to when I was young.
Yeah. And where did you go to school there? You lived there your whole life until you were an adult?
Yeah, I went to school there, and I sort of enjoyed primary school.
Okay.
Sort of.
Why? Not really?
Not really. I wasn't a fan as such. I remember when I was probably about 11, I decided that I'd have a pain in my stomach for a while to stop myself going to school. And I managed to fudge that for maybe a week and a half before my mother said, you know what, something's not right here. So she brings me to the doctor anyway, and I think I'm rumbled. Rumbled. So I'm on the little bench and he's feeling around, and I said, I better make a noise here, do something, because I can't fake this to it. I'm caught. So he managed to figure around and feel my stomach, and I went, oh, that's painful. He goes, oh my God, it could be appendicitis. Get him into Temple Street straight away. In Temple Street for a few days under monitoring and all that. And the first thing they did was, I went into a bath and a nurse came in and washed me head to toe, and I sat there going, oh, this is
a nightmare. This is, for school is better than this.
Yeah, so anyway, I was in the hospital for a few days and they were prodding me and poking me and the whole lot, and eventually said, no, I don't think it's anything wrong. I was like, oh yeah, I feel much better now. I feel much better. And so that was tick. Don't do that again.
Yeah, okay, can't fake sickness. I'll end up in hospital, being washed by nurses.
Yes, correct.
And what was it in school that you didn't like? Was it just the academia side or the social side, or a bit of both?
I actually liked the people, playing around and having a bit of fun. I was clever enough to not have to study too much in school, so I got kind of bored quite often and got through primary school okay, but secondary school then I used to count classes every week.
Really? Hated it?
Didn't like it.
And do you think, so probably you liked the social side of it again, did you? It
was I played football and was in the Scouts. I did loads of different things outside of school. I played for the school team. I played for local GAA team. Did all those things. Played music, was in a band, loads of external stuff.
But just the school.
But the school stuff.
No. And do you think that the school, like it's the structure, the way it's structured now, doesn't suit everybody? So my eldest son, it suited, right, because he's a pure academic. But then my daughter, she's more artistic. It didn't suit her. It's not that she's not bright, she just hated it.
No.
She hated the restriction, the structure, all of it. And you were the same.
I was the same. If you take us as an entity, a human being from start to finish, and you've got, let's imagine there's a spectrum of, really strongly autistic and maybe very strongly creative, or there's some broad spectrum. I don't mean to put anybody down in this, but we have people who like to do things over and over and over the same way. And then we have people who, on this end of the spectrum, like to do everything differently all the time. So if you think about, if you took Leonardo da Vinci and you say to them, Leonardo, I really love the Mona Lisa, will you paint that again? No.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Why?
Yeah.
No, but we want to paint it again because it's beautiful, it's perfect. Yeah, but like, why would I do that? I need to do something else.
Yeah, creative.
And then you have somebody else over here who's maybe very mathematical, who wants to do very similar things all the time, or keep things neat and tidy and structure.
And they like the structure.
Yeah, and we need both of those sets of human beings, and we need the whole spectrum. Unfortunately, the school system tends to veer more on the logical side than the creative side a little bit.
Absolutely it does. Yeah.
And there's a bit of a, I'm not saying the education system is dysfunctional, but there's a small portion of people in there that don't quite fit into the your next class is in 40 minutes and the next class is in 40 minutes and move there, go over here. So
I didn't like either. Like you, I loved the social side. I made friends. I was head girl in school.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the best performer academically, but I just loved people.
Yeah.
I loved the crack, loved school, but I hated the structure.
Yeah.
Like I was just like that, losing the will to live. Oh,
Yeah.
40-minute class, couldn't wait for it to end. So you had that bit in the corridor where you could have a bit of crack and
you
mess with your friends.
Oh, 5 minutes, the teacher's like, yes!
Yeah. And I just don't really believe that school structure. Now, we had a great principal. He passed away recently, but he loved all different types of students and he kind of favoured the ones that weren't that academic.
Yeah.
He loved the creative students and we had room in that school to be ourselves.
Yeah.
But I just think in general, I hear so many people that struggled in school. Not that they weren't bright, not that they weren't able, they just didn't like the structure.
Yeah.
It suits some people and doesn't really prepare us then for real life.
Yeah.
You know, and all of our, particularly in Ireland, it's the Leaving Cert.
The Leaving Cert, yeah.
And
but if I flick back to the primary school piece though, my first class to sixth class teacher, Frank McNamara, was an exceptional teacher. When I went and lived in the UK, I realised that he had done things on the curriculum that people in secondary and university hadn't even heard of when I'd got to.
Really?
Yes, incredible stuff. But the Romans, the Greeks, he taught us so many things. And it's only later on I realised that he was amazing. And it was only sort of at the latter end of the 5th and 6th year when I started to get a little bit uppity. He captured my attention for a lot of it.
Okay.
We did music, he played the accordion, he did music on a Friday. Brought us to play
brilliant
football.
teacher.
He was great. He punctuated the day nicely. Now he did a lot of Irish, those things where you stuck it on the thing, and I did a lot of that,
yes.
which I didn't particularly like. But that was great. But fast forward to secondary school, there wasn't that sense of keeping it engaging, keeping it interesting. Like if you think about how long we've been learning Irish, for instance.
Yeah.
And most people that go through 14 years of school with Irish can't speak it fluently.
No, it's disgraceful.
How does that happen?
Yeah, it's the way that they teach. And there's a lack of passion for it. And then people all think, why am I doing this? Yeah, but it is incredible. Most other European countries, if they study a language, they'll know it by the end of or they'll have a good grasp.
Yeah.
If we studied something for 14 years, we'd be experts.
Yeah, but I studied Spanish outside of school and got pretty good at it. I wasn't fluent, but I was pretty good. And it only took me a couple of years. And it was doing an adult education style or reading books or doing a little bit of... So it didn't take that long. Just going to Spain a little bit, immersing yourself, doing a bit of extracurricular stuff.
Yeah, so it is, I think it's the way that they teach it. So what did you do then when you left school? Did you finish your Leaving Cert, do your Leaving Cert?
I did my Leaving Cert, did go well in the Leaving Cert. I think I got 8 honours or something.
Okay, very good.
Did badly in one subject, which was another whole conversation. But anyway, I got an A in that subject in my Intercert because I really enjoyed it.
Wow. I
got a D. I got a pass in my Leaving Certificate because of...
Could have been a teacher or something like that. It can sometimes be that. It can be a teacher. It just turns you off. I remember one teacher saying to me when I was at school, why don't you just leave school and join the circus? She just thought it was a total mess. Do you know what I mean? They could say things like that back then. But I mean, just... did have no faith in me, and you can come across a teacher. Other teachers thought I was just so smart. Yeah. They loved me. But she just didn't see it, and then you're just not going to do well with a teacher like that.
I didn't go to university. I couldn't wait to get out of school.
Could you not? Okay. What did you do then when you left?
When I left, the first summer I left, I got a job in a local factory.
Okay.
Right, which was torture.
Oh, yeah.
Torture. It was sitting in the same place.
Doing the same thing.
Welding... little glass pieces into the front of microwave ovens.
Death. The longest day of your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. You didn't stay at that for long?
No. Didn't stay at that for long. Then I got a job in Irish Life, which I actually enjoyed.
Okay. And what were you doing there?
I was doing pensions and
very
administration. Good. It was mathematics. I liked mathematics.
Okay.
So that kept my interest. I got on really well there, really enjoyed it. And then I moved into... the brokerage end of the pension market. Didn't like that. Okay.
Why? What was it about that just didn't suit you?
Well, I'd gone from a very well organised, well structured company with computers
Okay.
into a filing cabinet full of paper
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
So that, me and filing are diametrically opposed. I'll tell you a story about one of the reasons I married my wife is we were going out together and she said, you wouldn't just put your hand into the cabinet there and get me the electricity bill. I went, oh God. And I opened up the filing cabinet and looked in and it was perfectly filed. Everything was house insurance, road tax, she goes, yeah, I think it's the third or fourth. And I was like,
You said, I'm marrying her.
that's it. That's it.
It's
That's
a done deal.
That is it. Like, I'd fallen for it anyway, but that was the cream on the. I said, oh my God.
She's going to organise my
That's
life.
It, everything.
Yeah,
but she does. She's amazing.
Brilliant.
She's amazing, I have to say, Anita.
So you were working there, and then didn't you live in London for a while?
Yeah, I did.
How did that come about?
That's an interesting question as well. So I'd worked in the brokerage. In the meantime, I'd been playing music and stuff, and we were in a band, and we did really well in the band, actually.
What did you play?
I played guitar.
Okay. Still play?
Still play, yeah.
Okay,
still
good.
Play. 40 years now.
Yeah.
So still do that. And we did quite well in the band. We got to a place, we'd won this, what was called the Beatbox at the time. It was an Irish TV show on what was it called? I think it was called 2FM, but it was Network
Everyone's
2.
Is it on YouTube?
RT2. No, I don't think it is. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Try and find.
It could be.
Might be.
So that kind of work kind of didn't, but you've like to make it in the music business is a very hard task to do.
Yes.
Very hard task to do. And in the meantime, I'd been working in a radio station as well. So I just said, oh, you know what? I need to get out of here.
Okay.
And then I went over and met a girl in London. We started to live together.
Okay. And did you move on your own, just you, or did mates go? Did the whole
No,
band
I went
go?
with this girl because she was over there, and I'd met her, and I said, you know what, I'll go over.
I'm just going to go. Okay.
And
okay.
Anyway, so we went over there and got started over there. And again, like when you move to a different country, the world is a very different place.
Yeah.
You know, you've got no one really to rely on. You've got to rent deposits, and you've got stuff in your pocket, and you realise
no fallback, you've no cushion, you've no parents, friends,
correct.
Family. Yeah.
The only fallback you have is the flight money back home.
And you don't want to do
which
that.
Nobody wants to do.
Yeah. And do you feel you really grew up then, Eddie, when you moved to London?
Yeah.
And like, even though they were across the pond and people think we're culturally very different than English people, because like I know I spent a good bit of time in London, and we're culturally very, very different. Did you find that hard, or? Yeah,
I found two things, culture shocks in both. Whenever I came home, and I came home quite regularly.
Okay, yeah. Tell us this.
The two culture shocks that I found very difficult initially to cope with was when you went to someone's house and they said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" You go, "Oh no, it's okay," and they say, "Fair enough." Okay. And they'd make themselves a cup of tea, and you go, where's the 7 times? Where's the pressure? Where's the make me have the tea? Yeah. You know, and then when they came to my house, I'd say, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And they'd go, "No, you're fine. Go on, have a cup of tea." They're like, "No, it's okay. Come on now. I know you want to. I'm making one myself. Have it in your hand." Yeah, they're just like, "What is wrong with him? Just leave it." Yeah, I don't want tea. Yeah. No. And then as well, talking to people in shops. So in London, you walk in and go, "Mars bar, please. Mars bar done." Then you come over here and somebody's going to say, "How you doing?" And you go, "A Mars bar. Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm okay, thanks." And you start a little bit of a conversation. Because there was a guy on, Mark Whitehead was on there a couple of weeks ago, and he's from the UK. Yeah. I can't remember where. He'll kill me. But he said when his dad came to visit, he thought that people were trying to rob him at the petrol station because they were all saying, "How are you?" He thought they were trying to distract him. They were going to steal his car. He was like, "Everybody's talking to me." Yeah, but over there they just don't. Like we say hello to people on the street, we smile, we're more friendly. So, and then it must feel even lonelier then. Yeah. Because you don't even have that how's it going? It took some time to make what I'd say good friends in the UK. Yeah. Definitely took some time to do that. And you were, how long were you there for? I was there for 10 years. Okay. I got into, I went over and started then in the Consumers Association, which is Switch magazine. Okay. And that was doing financial research and that sort of thing. That came from the pensions and all that stuff. And really enjoyed that. And then, now, forgive me on the year, but the electricity deregulation happened in the UK, and they set up like 12 different regions. And they were looking for someone to oversee the production of what they call the fact sheets of all the calculations of the different prices. And it was an independent, so the Department for Electricity and Gas at the time paid the Consumers Association, said, listen, we need you to independently do this. So they sort of internally said, can anyone do this? Does anyone want to do it? So I moved from the financial research into this. And
do you love that side, the analytics? Do you love that? Was that, you seem to like that?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's sort of maybe the mechanics of things or something about the
how it works.
Inner workings of it.
Okay.
There's something in there about that fascinates me. And same with businesses and stuff, but we'll talk about that later. So I started producing these fact sheets, and that was sort of heavily Excel based. And I did that for about a year. Enjoyed that, but it became repetitive because it was the same thing every month. The contract was coming to an end. A friend of mine said, do you want to come work in Goldman Sachs doing analysis and stuff? I said, that sounds like a great idea. So I was in Goldman's then for about two years or so. And the dot-com bubble, I remember the year 2000 and all that sort of stuff happened. And there was a massive call of people in Goldman's. And I remember my VP calling me and saying, listen, we have to straighten everything out, but do you want to go over to the web team? I can get you the web team. And I went, okay, but I don't know anything about web. Don't worry, keep you. Get over to the web team, right? So we went over to the web team, and the web team was based in the middle of what you'd call IT professors and banking professors, financial professors, like serious bankers. And the web team and the business analysis unit had to translate the language from that person to that person. Because if you put the two of them together, forget it. So you had to have somebody who had good people skills, good analytical skills, could understand technical jargon on both ends. I liked the financials. I liked IT. I liked the mechanics.
So this was a good fit for you?
It was perfect for me. This was great. And every week had new projects, and there was big things to think about. It was great. Loved it. And that sort of, about 2 years in, I thought, you know what, I'd like to look for something else now. I think something else is be nice. So a friend of mine said there's some good placements going in these areas over here and stuff. And I went, okay, and I had a look, and I met this lady from a recruitment agency, and just talking away, and she goes, you know what, I've got a job I think that might be of interest. And I said, fair enough. What is it? I said, well, this company is going from these books, like telephone directory type books of information, and they want to put it all online.
Because back down, for the young people listening, nothing was online.
No, nothing.
Okay, so if you had a big yellow pages that was this size, and you had to look up someone's number, F Farrell, all the way down, and there could be 5 Sharon Farrells in the one area, and you had to try and find. That was how we found people. And the yellow pages would be delivered to your door once a year, once every 2 years,
that's right.
updated. And that's how people, and everyone had, and the book would murder you. I mean, it was a weapon. It was this size, and everybody had it. There was the yellow pages, and then there was the normal
telephone directory.
Telephone directory which was for Joe Soaps. So that was our internet. That was what you had to do to find people.
If you take the yellow pages, right, and explode that out into 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different products, and basically what it was is this guy, Robert Barkley, started the company. He was a marketing guy, and he realised that every marketing company that he'd ever worked in, or every company that ever worked in the marketing department, had a person trying to piggyback on some event somewhere, saying, oh, we've got to launch the new Dior product, or we've got to launch the new
whatever it was, let's go to this event. Right?
Who can we sponsor? When are they on? And somebody would be finding out, ringing around. So he thought, you know what, I'll put all of those events in a book. And you just buy it. And if you're in marketing, you buy this book. If you're in this type of thing, if you're in brands, you buy this type of book. All the launches, all the stuff, right?
Brilliant.
So you start off, did amazingly well, brilliant product. But then when he looked at it, he went, hold on a second. When I look at this, I see there's a lot of TV agents and agents of people and other things in there. So he started to compartmentalize. So we started to say, well, here's a directory now of all the actors' agents that are at these events, or here's a person who's presenting this, or here's all the sports stars' agencies. And he created this thing called Red Pages, which was a celebrity telephone directory.
Very good.
Right? So
Very
you could
good.
ring this person to say, can you back us on this date and whatever. Again, centralizing all this stuff. So all of that stuff was in paper and it needed to go onto the web. So you could search for it.
And we wouldn't have had ChatGPT. We wouldn't have anything where you could we had to type. Did you have to key all that in manually?
That was all done, yeah. Researchers did it the whole time. So
keying it in.
All the PR stuff was brought in, it was keyed in, it was printed, and then that moved onto the web. So it became searchable. You had much more interactive stuff so that if a press release came out now and you'd missed the publication date, it could be a month, it could be a week, depending on the publication. But that was that was like, Airbnb from way back, putting all the little bits of information together in a central place. Genius.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, because our lives were different. Everything was manual, and I mean the kids now don't know, that realise you had to actually do things like that, find things. So you were there at the cutting edge when things were changing. That we were going from paper to the web. And the web felt so scary. I remember ordering my first thing online and been so terrified to put my credit card in. And thinking, and then when it arrived at the door, it was from Amazon, my first online order, and I think it was CDs or books. It was CDs, and they actually arrived at the house, and I was like, "This is what feels now like we do it every single day of the week." At the time, was such a big deal. It was like, so you were there when technology really was taking off. So exciting, though.
It was very exciting. It was. And then met my wife.
Okay.
And she had decided to move to Holland for a year.
Right.
And we were getting on really well.
Yeah. You weren't married at the time?
No, we weren't.
Just
I
dating.
hadn't spotted the filing yet. I was well convinced already. But so she was moving to Holland for a year. I was in London. I was coming home quite a lot, so I used to see her at home.
Okay.
And it just became I was going to Holland, she was coming to London, we were going home. We're like, we have to make a decision. What we do?
Okay.
So my dad was elderly at the time, and he was on sort of the dementia watch.
Okay, yeah.
And we said, look, he's not going to be able to travel. The kids won't see their grandparents. She already has a son, my stepson Kyle, and we have a grandchild from Kyle, which is great. And we decided, look, go back home. I had to convince her a little bit about having kids. She was like, not sure the second time round.
Yeah. I was in that boat.
A bit of an elbow, isn't there?
Yeah, you need a big nudge. Yeah.
Okay, so we moved back home 2006. So I had then a strategic IT company that I'd set up in the UK, and I'd go back and forwards and run it remotely.
So you had set up a business over there yourself?
Yeah,
okay.
did, yeah.
And what was that business?
That was step back for a second. So that was looking at business growing and using IT as a correct tool, if you like, because what happened generally when businesses grew is they had a box that had email on it or whatever. Then it got too big for the box. They had to take the box off and put another box in, and that causes loads of problems.
Because there was no cloud as such down.
No.
You had to have these big servers in and these big, and all the information went through this big, and if it got too big, you needed a bigger box. Yeah.
So we'd set up a system where we could tell, or we could manage the changing of these the boxes or servers basically, so that it became as seamless as possible. That was doing quite well, happy out, and in 2011 though, after that 2008 recession started,
I remember.
There was, I'd say, most of the clients struggled through that, but 2011 I think resources ran out. They just started to tank. And
people were just knackered, I'd say. The fight in that. I was working in the collections at the time for a multinational, and so we were collecting from businesses. So I really saw, nobody was lodging their money into the bank because they couldn't, because it would be swallowed up. So everybody had cash.
Yeah.
If we were going around collecting outstanding invoices, we had to get into our car, and we were collecting. I remember collecting 15 grand once in cash. 500, 600, just payment plans from people, and we'd have to drive around. So it was, for people who haven't lived through that in business, it was exhausting.
It was carnage though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Everybody.
absolutely.
Here's a funny funny little thing. When I left Ireland, it was in 1996.
Starting to come up.
Yeah,
Everything's
starting to come up. And if I take a cross section of 10 people at my leaving do, I'd say 6 of them had a job, and 4 of them were either unemployed or having some sort of state-funded almost job, half a job.
Okay.
They were called CE schemes or something like that,
them,
community employment schemes. So you were technically working and you were getting a little bit extra than your social welfare, and you were training in that sort of area, but you weren't quite working. It wasn't a proper...
No, it wasn't a proper job, but they were trying to get you back into the workforce.
Get you back into the workforce. Fast forward then to maybe 5-6 years later. The people that were working, the plumbers, the electricians, they all were now plumbing contractors, electrical contractors with businesses.
Yeah.
Right? The people who were on the CE type schemes all had good jobs, and we're all talking about investing in various different places around the world.
Buying
everything,
an apartment in Turkey and all this. I remember we were all gone mad.
The whole lot.
Yeah, we all went crazy.
Yeah. And that happened in quite a quick window. It happened in quite a short window. So the fall in dramatic sort of sense of the fall from that was tough.
Yeah.
It was. People just thought it was going to last forever.
And it was the first time Ireland had money.
Yeah.
We had nobody before us that had financial savvy. Our parents, we were the first generation with money, credit cards. Yeah. My parents still don't have a credit card.
Yeah.
We had credit cards, we could access credit, we were buying, my dad still to this day, the flat screen TVs, they were about $3,000 each. Some of them were 10 grand. It was mad money. We all had them.
We did.
And then the fall from that, people overextended their credit, they couldn't pay back, and it was just meltdown.
It was,
the country fell apart.
Yeah.
And the world fell apart, but in particular Ireland.
Yeah, we did.
It was tough.
A rude awakening.
We did. Yeah.
A rude awakening. In that 2011 time period, and it's funny you should mention cash, because I was teaching Kung Fu and Tai Chi as a hobby.
Oh, were you?
Little hobby.
Okay.
And I came back I started when I came back, I started the club 2006 because I'd been learning it for quite a long time in the UK, and I thought for me to keep up the interest in it, if I teach it, at least I'll be interested in learning more.
You'll have a club and you'll have a
commitment.
And
and I'll be going back over to the UK and doing other things. And I just felt that if I started that, it would help me.
Keep on track.
Because Kung Fu has helped me really, really in a lot of ways.
Has it?
Has really helped me in a lot of ways, yeah.
Okay. Like what?
Like, it's just helped me.
Like with your mindset? Okay.
Yeah, it's calmed me down a little bit. I used to have a very fast-paced racing mind. It's stopped that.
Okay, I have that, so I could do Kung Fu.
Yeah. And it sort of compartmentalizes things in a particular way. And here's a silly example. So I was fighting in a competition in it was just outside London, and I hadn't realised, but I put on a little bit of weight because I'd been training and I'd been kind of it was more muscle than anything, but it was a little bit that tipped me over the weight scales.
Okay.
And because of the competition, sometimes it depends on how many people you have at certain levels of weights that they readjust the weight categories if it's not a huge competition. So I tipped over into the heavyweight competition, right? I thought, oh shit.
Yeah, what am I going to do? Yeah.
So there's a few Swedish guys over, and they were like, there was one called Magnus. He was must have been about 7 foot tall. He was huge. I thought,
you thought this is a disaster.
No. I'm like
Let me weigh in
a
again.
little mosquito around him. Right? He knocks me around anyway. I think I cracked a rib in that competition. But I remember afterwards, and this is when I was working in the publishing company. I remember coming in to work on the Monday morning, feeling a bit, it was a Saturday. Yeah. Like, that was crackers. And somebody run in going, all the servers are down. I was like, that's not as bad as getting into the ring with Magnus for a few rounds, so we'll be okay here.
I can handle anything after Saturday.
Yeah. So that sort of level of
resilience.
Just saying,
mental
if
resilience.
You can do that, you can do this, and that's not so bad really. And this is actually, if you look at it, a lot of times when you see something as a challenge, the response that you have to it is the problem.
Yeah.
It is the problem.
Yeah. It's not what's happening, it's how we respond.
It's how the response happens to it. Yeah. And what you take from it, and what you try and do with it, and how you interpret what it means to you, and how your filters, because your filters help you make sense of the world.
Yeah.
And they also challenge you in terms of one mindset is used to filter a lot of different things. So a lot of information can end up feeling the same or being the same in your head that isn't the same.
Okay.
So we started the Kung Fu Club, 2006. 2011, other businesses had crumbled, so I decided that I would make that into a business. So I started teaching 6 days a week. I had a lot of teaching hours, and that was a cash business mainly at the time. So that helped a lot with getting through everything.
So the business in 2011 ended.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So that was carnage. I had to defend myself in court. A load of stuff. I didn't trust anybody. I just thought, there's big wheels in motion here, banks involved. So
you must have learned so much from that, though.
But to be honest, I stayed up late at night, learning how to speak in the court, what the court was supposed to be doing, law. It's not worth that to have not set up your business properly and to have to end up in that situation.
And was it that you hadn't set the business up correctly from the onset because you have a lack of knowledge?
There was an element to that.
Okay.
If I look back and be honest, Sharon, if I'm very honest, there was an element of me just
winging it, sort of. Like us all when we start up a business. And that's the truth.
And not putting the structures in play that would actually save
protect
the business.
you long term.
Yeah, like cash collection, like all those credit controls, those things of just letting them all just happen rather than actually having something in play to actually deal with them and to make sure that each part of the business, each unit, each section, each department, whatever you want to call it, is actually working properly.
Like the mechanics of the business.
Like an engine. Yeah. So that each part of the engine is tweaked so that it's actually functional, so that if you do encounter a problem, that the engine in its entirety doesn't have to collapse.
Okay, that's very important because most people that start a business are good at something. Like maybe if it's a plumber, they're good, or a carpenter, or so they do, or an engineer, so they're good at something. Yeah. But then running a business is a different skill set.
It is, yeah.
So you can be excellent at this, but if you don't have the right structures in place for the whole business, it can't grow, it can't survive, it can't thrive, and you can find yourself in difficulty.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot with people that are, I have clients that are very successful.
Yeah.
Very successful. But they may be very successful at a cost, which means that they're doing 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, or successful at a cost where they've got a lot of stress and struggle because
don't have the right structures
they're winging
in
it,
place.
and there's nothing in the back to say, you go forwards and do your thing.
And we've
got this because we know exactly what you want. We know that we have to operate in this zone, this area. We know our KPIs or parameters are. You just bull on ahead, and we'll follow on behind.
And it obviously was that I won't call it a failure in business because it just saw itself out, whatever happened in the business that drove you then to become a coach.
Yeah. And if I document the journey then from...
So you had this other business set up where you were the Kung Fu instructor.
And that was...
Did you love that though?
I did, yeah. I loved that. I love the whole thing about it. I love it. It's great. It's just, there's so many things to learn. There's always a new thing. No matter how much you practice it, there's always something else to learn. It's like, it's almost that you can never run out of things. It's so...
You can never master this.
No.
You can just strive to be better all the time. Yeah.
Correct. And when I look at the thing as a whole, and when I was teaching, I started to go, you know what? There must be something that actually says this is how you teach well. This is how you do things well, right? So I found IMAC, which is the Irish Martial Arts Commission. They'd been going along for quite a long time, and they're the Sports Ireland accredited martial arts overseeing body. So I joined them. They have coaching qualifications.
Okay.
So I started to do the coaching piece, and then I was like, do you know what? This is like, it's not just about coaching an individual in a sport or a martial art, whatever. They're actually fundamental things that help everybody when you look at them, right? And so I did that.
And were you thinking, I could have done with this for my business?
No, I
you
wasn't
weren't
at the time.
Okay.
I wasn't at the time. I was just really focused on the martial arts and all that stuff and getting that up and running, which was fine. And then the second thing, the real thing that sort of tipped me over the edge to say, this is amazing, was doing the train the trainer, or coach the coach, or being able to, again through IMAC, going through the process of teaching someone how to coach.
Yeah.
That was really eye-opening to say, oh my God, like there's something really powerful in this. And so that, I was coaching, and then I started to generate this thing of, you know what, I actually missed the mathematics in the office and the challenges of somebody's business saying, how do we do this and do this? So I started to miss that intellectual bit, even though I love the Kung Fu piece.
But it probably wasn't
physical.
Enough. Yeah.
And there is a bit of mental change, if you like, but it's not intellectual, if that makes sense. Yes. It's not problem solving and decision making and sort of challenging
your brain as much as you needed.
Yeah, and I missed that.
Yeah.
So about 10 years ago, I said to Anita, listen, I'm going to set up this business coaching firm. I've put the two together.
Yeah.
And she's looking at me, I think, going, here's another one of his.
Yeah, she's like, okay, off you go.
Yeah, okay, how does that going to work?
How's your filing going?
Yeah.
You can file stuff.
Yeah. So that was I started to generate the idea of what it was going to do, and then like literally within a month, on my LinkedIn profile came up an ad for Action Coach.
Okay.
I was like, hold on a second, there's already a business coaching company here, so what's going on here?
Yeah.
This was like in the October, and then by January I was up and running in Action Coach.
Okay.
Because I was just on, that's it.
It was everything. They had the structures, they had everything in place.
I have to say, the Action Coach framework and methodologies of business, outstanding.
Okay.
Outstanding.
So let's talk about a business coach, a business mentor, a mindset coach, because I'm in business now, okay? Yeah. And we were talking about this before we went live. A couple of things. It's terrifying some days, okay? It is terrifying because you have so much responsibility, particularly as your business has grown.
Yeah.
And you do need support, but it's hard to know what you need.
Yeah.
And there is so many different options out there between mindset coaches, mentors. What is the difference? And maybe explain a little bit to us about that.
I use sport to really just try and understand what a coach is versus what say a consultant is or a mentor is. So if I start off with a mentor, okay. Now coaching is mentoring, but it's there's a different context to it if I explain. So normally your mentor is someone who turns up randomly and says, how are you getting on?
Yeah.
That generally speaking, they may be in the same industry, or they may be a friend, or they may be somebody who's been successful or has done something that you think, I could learn from that person.
I have a few mentors, like they're in business, but they're ahead of me. They're 20 years in business.
Yeah.
They'd ring me or I'd ring them for advice.
Advice.
Yeah.
Advice. The piece about the mentor is that if you take the advice and you don't do it properly and you fail, the mentor isn't going, do you know what, I'll pick up the tab for that, Sharon.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're not in it with you. They're helping you, giving the advice. If you misinterpret it or do something, it's on you.
Yeah.
Okay? The consultant, business consultant, you might say, look, I need to get a marketing strategy done for this thing, right? So the business consultant goes off and goes, okay, and comes back and goes, there's your strategy. And you go, thank you very much.
And off you go yourself.
And off you go yourself.
Yes.
Okay? The business coach is slightly different. And the rudiments of a business coach are very similar to, if you think about a golf coach going to learn how to play golf or to improve your golf, is if you go into the golf coach and you say, listen, I want to improve here. The golf coach, the first thing they're going to say is, just show me your swing. Let's have a look at you. Give me some information here. What do I have to work with?
Yes.
And you go and you line up and you go, and the coach goes, okay, your left foot's wrong.
Yes.
Your left foot's wrong. But what about my arm? Forget about your arm, forget about your head, your left foot is wrong. So
fix your left foot.
Fix your left foot. So this week, fix your left foot. That's all you have to do. Just do that. Okay. So you come back and you go, oh, left foot's fixed. Great. Okay. Now we get your hip alignment. Great. Okay. So this week you're going to focus on your hip alignment. And I mentioned that idea of all you need really is the dark night with the headlights distance ahead. That's all you need, provided you know where you're going.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we take that analogy of the tennis coach or the golf coach, of just giving you enough information for you to fix one of the key things in the correct order,
Okay, in the correct order is important.
In the correct is very important, because if you go into a business owner and you say, what's going on here? Literally they will give you 12, 15, 20 things that are not functioning correctly and 20 things that are functioning right. Okay, and I'll give you an exact example.
And that might be their perception of what is right and wrong as well.
Here's a very important thing, okay, that a lot of people that I coach miss, is that if your business isn't performing to the level that you need it to be, if you're not hitting your targets, what tends to happen is people go to marketing companies, marketing agencies and say, I need to grow my business. So do a marketing campaign. You go, fine. So you invest some money in the marketing campaign. But the first thing you need to do is to fix your sales process and to fix what's going to happen to these people, the new leads. Because generally, what happens, especially if you've got a sales team, generally what happens is, if your sales team are uncoordinated, you don't have a procedure, you don't have a process, you don't have a way of doing sales properly. If it's all ad hoc and they're busy and you pour more telephone calls in there, your sales are going to disimprove, because there's too much going on already that hasn't been sorted out.
Yeah. And
then you're pouring more fuel on and they're not following up, they're just answering calls. And generally speaking, that's the disaster.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it's very important that you understand that there's certain things that you need to fix first. Or
before you get the new sales in the door. Before you get the
things, It's like you have a boat, right? And you think, oh, I'm going to sailing. I haven't taken it out now in a long time. So there's a couple of holes in it. But I don't care, I'm just putting the sails up and off you go and you sink.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing to that.
And the faster you're growing, the quicker you're going down.
Yeah.
Because people aren't.
I've coached clients that were advertising services and products that when you look at them are slightly loss making. Just slightly. Mispriced. They've been the same price for a long time and costs had increased. Changed, yeah. So the more they advertise those, the more they sold them, the more trouble they were getting into.
Yeah, financially. Like profitability is the key.
It's the key. It really
I say
is.
It all the time. And I was
is.
at a networking event recently for International Women's Day, and they were asking us to give advice. And I'm always saying, profitability. Stop. When people tell me about the turnover, I'm not dazzled by their turnover. Are you making money? You can have a massive turnover and be making a loss.
Yeah.
So people really need to understand their numbers and look at this. And I suppose for people who think, I don't need a coach, is it an ego thing?
I don't know.
Or is it not understanding what a coach can do?
Well, let me just flesh out again, just to finalise in terms of what the definition of the coach be. So the golf coach is there, right, saying, work on your left foot, okay? Or the tennis coach, whatever the football coach is there working with the team or the person, okay? But the key bit of the coach then is the coach is on the sideline watching the player going, did a good job there.
Yeah.
Now, our goal is to get you to Wimbledon or the Masters. So here's the journey, right? And again, if you think about this, so every week, let's say you're having a game or a match, that your coach is preparing you for that next match. But the long-term goal is winning the league or winning the what. But you're only ever preparing, if you like, preparing for the next match, because these are the players in this one. These are what they do well.
Like it. So you're not focused on this. You're like, okay, that's where we're going.
Yeah,
this is how we're going to get there.
there.
Yeah, the path ahead.
Correct.
Yeah, in the right way.
Correct.
And as you said, in the right order.
Yeah, there's no point in saying we're going to prepare now to beat the champions of the league, which we're playing in 6 weeks' time, and then we win the league, and you lose every game up to that.
Yeah.
But you beat them, but you've lost.
So it's this strategy for growing your business.
Yeah.
And somebody there helping you.
The coach is there with your victories, with your losses. They're literally parallel to you. So if you're losing, they're losing. If you're winning, they're winning.
Yeah.
They're alongside. Does that make sense?
And it's like, it is mad because you wouldn't do anything in sport without a coach.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a coach. But in business, we feel we don't.
Yeah.
Because we feel we should know everything.
Well, I think there's an element to it as well that, you know, me as a man as well, we do tend to think that asking for directions, asking for things, asking for help is a negative. Like
or a sign of weakness or vulnerability or something.
Vulnerability or weakness. You know, I know best. But I have a coach. The guys in Action Coach have coaches. We all have coaches, because if we don't have coaches, we don't fundamentally believe that coaching is correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we don't have a coach, how can I say to someone, you need a coach? But if you look at like the likes of Steve Jobs or I've forgotten the name of Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, all of those people have at least one, if not more than one coach or mentors or people that are in there all the time with them saying, what do you think of this? Let's do this.
Because it is in them moments when you're, you know, and we were talking before we went live, and I was saying, like, sometimes I feel like I have my foot on the accelerator and the brake.
At the same time, yeah.
At the same time, because I'm like, oh, I want to go, but I don't. Oh, what if?
I'll give you, I'll give you a really good example of that I see in clients sometimes, is that you have the marketing plan, you have everything ready, right? And you think, do you know what? More customers is going to be problematic. Yeah. I don't really want more customers, but I'm going to go through the motions of doing the marketing anyway. Yeah. I'm just going to do it. And then when I don't get any customers, that'll make me feel okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, that's a simplification of it.
Yeah.
But you sort of go, oh, well, I won't follow them up today because, you know, we have
See, more customers means more work, more stress,
correct.
more anxiety, more pressure. And when you haven't got the right structures in place, that's what you're thinking. Oh, no, headache, stress, anxiety, sleepless nights.
When in reality, more customers should mean less headache, less stress, because other people are able to help. You can pay for team members, you can do other things, and you can.
And a coach is going to help you put the proper structures in place so that you have that. So more sales means more money.
Yes.
And as you said, less stress.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people are in my situation and like they haven't done it before. It's different when you've done it, or maybe like they haven't had a family member who've done it before.
Yeah.
Their cohort of friends don't run businesses. So they're usually the first ones on the front line now. And sometimes we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you know, loads of people I say, you know, I'm fucking winging it most of the time. Like,
yeah. For the business end of things.
Yeah. Not that we can do the work.
Not the technical stuff, yes.
No, we know how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's the business side of it. It's like, how do I grow this? How do I scale this? So let's talk about what's the biggest mistakes you see? Like, I know you see a lot of different businesses out there. What's the biggest mistakes you say?
The first fundamental one that's very low level that I'll talk about is the solopreneur that actually wants to start off and have a business.
Yeah.
But takes all of the cash from the company as their salary. Okay? Takes everything.
Seen people doing that, yeah.
Takes everything. So just pick
because they think they've earned it.
Yeah.
They're like, I've earned all this money.
Yeah, pick a plumber, electrician, pick any solicitor, it doesn't matter. But that they make 10 grand this week and that's my salary. And then I'm gone. Great. Okay. But if you think of a business as a concept, and they talk about a body's corporate, or it's corporate. In other words, it's a body. Right.
It's an entity of its own.
It's an entity, right? It's an entity. So you're creating a body. The body needs food. It needs structure and direction. And if you take up all the resources, then you're not going to get to the second level, which is moving up the chain. So that's the first. And the second thing then is when you, let's say you take on a team member, okay? And let's imagine for a second, I'll just use a barber as an example. So let's imagine you're a barber. You think, you know what, I can fit another chair in here, right? And I get a barber. Okay. You go, oh, now I've got to fill that chair for that person. That means marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that. But you know what, I'm just going to cut hair here myself. Yeah. And hope for the best.
And hopefully people say another chair and we
come in and hope for the best, right? That's the second thing, is that when you take on a team member, you are now shunted up into what I call the directorships of the company, which is the managing director, the marketing and sales director, the finance director, and the operations director. So the operations director
HR director.
Yeah, but operations director in terms of the barber is, this is how you cut hair, maximum 20 minutes, da-da-da, here's your structures, you're in from 9 till 5, here's your working hours, operational, right? Yeah. Done. Marketing and sales, okay, I'm doing whatever campaigns or advertising to get people in here to do this and whatever. And your financials then is cash flowing. Am I going to get another employee? What am I going to do? How do I fund my marketing campaigns and my sales and all of these other things? And all of a sudden, that becomes important. But you get caught in the trap of cutting hair to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And you're cutting hair, and probably you're cutting more hair than the person next to you who you've employed.
Been there in the beginning.
And that's the sort of, you get stuck again in those ruts and those things, and it's just, it can be very frustrating for people if it goes on too long.
Yeah.
If it goes on too long, you can get demotivated and frustrated and say, this is a lot of rubbish.
Because I think what happens and what I see, because I've now like a cohort of friends that run businesses, all different sizes.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where I was. Then I grew the team and I said, okay, I need to step back. They're going to do the work. I'm going to look after all the other side.
Yeah.
But then we get busy and we haven't got the third employee,
Yeah.
and I'm back in
Yep.
it again, on the phone, making calls, doing the bits. And then we get another employee, and then I'm off again.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I'm back in again. So that's what happens to me. Would you see that a lot?
Yeah, see that a lot. Yeah,
like as men, tradesmen say, I'm back on the tools. I've heard them saying that, I'm back on the tools now again. Because you're kind of, it's very difficult. For me, it's to know, I'd love to have 3 employees lined up so I can really focus on the marketing, but you have to have the cash flow to pay the 3 employees, to get them trained, and it's a kind of vicious circle then the whole time.
Correct. And again, learning the financials as a business owner is one of your key things to do, because if you don't know the financials, you can't converse with the bank, because the bank are going to start using jargon and technical terms to you, and you're going to say, I don't know what that is, and they're thinking, this is a bad risk.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even know, or she doesn't even know about this bit and the other. And when a lot of times I'm actually teaching some clients about what it is, just to learn the basics. And once they have it, it's actually it's a nice game, because you can see the cash going into your bank account that you've predicted. And you think, this is actually, I'm enjoying this now, because if I turn that bit up, then the more cash arrives in the account. This is great.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
They
How did we do last
understand.
month? And then they start getting engaged in it, right?
Yeah.
But initially it's very like, oh no, do I have to do the financials? Do I have to do this? I have to learn it. Honestly.
If they don't know the numbers.
Honestly, it'll take you only a few minutes to learn the basics. And then it's more like just looking at them over time.
Yeah.
And upskilling yourself to read them and to understand what it's actually saying to you.
And to write questions to ask your accountant.
Yes.
Where do we need to go next? Yeah.
Why is that there? That should be over here.
Yeah.
I'm paying tax on that, and I'm not paying tax on this side. So why is that there? Why can I move that over here?
Yeah.
Can I do that? How can I structure this?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and that allows you then to predict the future. So you go, okay, if this year is exactly the same as last year, I can plan out exactly what's going to happen this year, okay, as a base. And then I say to myself, what about if I improve sales, or what about improve this over time? What do I need to do? And this is your budgeting piece, right? So the 2 forward predictors that are very important for businesses are cash flow forecasting and budgets. And you need to know the difference between those 2 things.
Yeah, I see it all
the time. You really do, right?
Budget's a different thing than cash flow forecast.
Correct. And the budget is going to tell you where your cash is coming in. But if you haven't got your budget done, it's very difficult to predict your cash, right? Yeah. So there's a couple of things. And realistically, that's not difficult, okay? And you can outsource it to people that know what they're doing. Most clients, I would say, would have at least outsourced their bookkeeping. If not, when I start, it's done very quickly. So that they're getting numbers back that they can look at. Because for a lot of clients, they're doing 7, 8 jobs in the company. Each one takes a little bit of time. And the fewer jobs you're getting involved in, the more you can focus on the actual real part of the business that you need to.
And it's hard to know when that is. So, you know, it can be fast moving, or a lot of things can happen together. It's like, when am I ready to take on my first employee?
Yeah.
When am I ready to take on my second employee?
Yeah.
What kind of accountant am I looking for? So you can help them around all that and where they are, and help them to go to kind of get to that level, because your team is important. You have to have a good team around you.
You do.
A knowledgeable team, because you actually can't be an expert on everything, and you can be good at everything. Most probably entrepreneurs are good at a lot of things.
They are. This is half the problem, and I do talk to them about this. Most entrepreneurs are unicorns in a certain way. So, you know, they've been probably in every department of the company and done every little bit, and they've managed to do it and get it done, and they're very driven and they get stuff sorted. But is that when you start taking on team members that are actually skilled in that area, you realise, geez, I was doing that in 4 hours and they're doing it in 10 minutes. I was doing that.
Yes.
That took me all week to do, and they can do it in a half day. And all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, so that's now done. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I can focus on growth, structures, strategy.
And that is the key, because and sometimes outsourcing is a good look. We're an outsourced business. People outsource that to us.
Yeah.
I'll collect money. No, I can make a phone call now. I actually did one before we went live. I can make a phone call now and get money in. I shouldn't have to do it, but I am still in the trenches, and it keeps me fresh. I enjoy it. I actually love it. Right? But I know if someone outsourced a debtor's book to us, they're saying to me, we had one client there, and they said to us, we quoted him, and I said, that'll probably be about 60 hours a month, I think. He said, there's no way I'll get it done in 60 hours. And I was like, there's no more work than 60 hours a month in this. But it was taking them 2 employees. Yeah. We just know what to do. We have a process, and we just know how to do it. Yeah. So it's the same for everything. Yeah. Marketing, and bookkeeping, whatever it is in your business. People are experts. Let them do it.
Yes. And nowadays, and I fundamentally, wholeheartedly agree that if you want something done, do get an expert. Don't get your next door neighbour who's good with numbers to do your accounts. Don't get your next door neighbour whose son is doing a
bit of social media
to do your social. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'll tell you why. Just let's take the marketing as an example. So if you're going to market the company and you want the marketing to actually work, and if I use one simple example of what this is looking like, for you to create trust in the marketplace, your marketing is your first level of trust building in the marketplace, right? So if you want to build trust in the marketplace, here's the 2 different options, right? So there's taking a picture of your dog on a Tuesday morning, marketing, okay? Yeah. And then there's actually strategic Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 2 p.m. themed marketing. And over a period of time, even though you mightn't read the marketing material, that could be an email, could be a Facebook post, could be a LinkedIn post. Even though you don't read that, you're developing a sense of that's a very well-run company. Okay?
They're on this.
They're on this. They're keen. They're well-organised. They're good.
Do you know what I did when I started, and I didn't know anything about sales and marketing? Like, you'd laugh if I told you to start. I thought when the website went live that the phone would start ringing. I actually was testing, and then I rang the website lady and I said, is the website live? I actually hadn't a clue. The naivety, I probably wouldn't have got into it had I known. Yeah. But I hired an expert, a marketing expert, and she did some sessions with me. Everything on my personal appearance to branded, our branding, how I show up, how the business shows up. Yeah. And it felt like so much money at the time, but I learned so much from her because she explained things to me, that I hadn't a clue about. And it just kind of, that I would have learned, but I would have taken me so much longer to learn. Yeah. So she did, and she explained so many things to me. And I think then I started to learn, get experts in. Yeah. Hire someone
who knows what they're doing. Yeah, it's a really important concept. Like, if you're getting somebody has an aptitude for something in your job or your business, and they're doing things ad hocly, and I had a client, years and years ago, a client, it was veterinary practice, and they had a young person and said, you can do our Facebook page. And they put up a picture of a dog's bottom that had a face that looked like it was Jesus' face on it, on their Facebook page, right? The vet nearly had a heart attack. But that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, you let someone in who's like, he's 15, he knows TikTok.
And he thought it was gas. And he probably got a load of TikTok.
He thought it was great, but the vet nearly had a heart attack. Yeah. This is a small rural there was a large veterinary practice, but it was a small rural community. I'm sure they were all going, look at this thing. Yeah. The last thing you want to do for your social media. Yeah, and look, social media, the reach now it's huge, so people will see it. Yeah. And it's not that we should be scared of our social media, because we it is important that we show up on our social medias as ourselves and our social media accounts as ourselves. Yeah. And I think it's something that I'm very passionate about, that I'd be afraid to outsource but there are elements of it that I can outsource, and there's help that I can get in. Yeah. But it needs to be me for now. Yeah. And I need to show up. So people, when they see me, they say, I know Sharon. Yeah. I've seen her. Yep. I've heard her. I know how she sounds. I know how she looks. Yeah. I know the things. I know how she interacts with people. She's warm, whatever it is, or not so warm, or very formal. Yeah. But then when they meet me, that's who they get. Yeah, that's that trust building thing, because you've got a well-run marketing, let's call it a campaign. Or strategy. You've got a good face, you've got a good, it's a methodology. It's not hit and miss, random here and there. It's not just knocked up. It's got a...
Yeah, and I will plan it out.
Yeah, like it's the same set. It's the same. It's not like in the back of your car and over here. No. And it's actually very strategic and structured.
And it's like, because I always say, I wouldn't show up to a meeting unless I had my suit on, my face done, my hair done. Present myself well.
Yeah.
And I have to present the business in the same way.
Yep.
And somebody, I can't remember who it was when I started the business, said to me, you are now the business everywhere you go. Every hand you shake, every time you show up, now you're face credit. And you have to know that.
Yep.
So you can't let yourself down. You can't arrive tardy. You can't act in a certain way, you know. And I did remember, and I still stick with that no matter where I'm going, even if it isn't a work event. Someone say, what do you do?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're talking about your business and how you look and how you interact with
people. Your ideal
people.
client is talking to you, you go, oh.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I do think of that all the time. The branding and the marketing is so important.
Branding is a particular bugbear of mine in terms of what people think branding is.
It's different to marketing, yeah.
Yeah, because like the analogy I'll use is you've got fizzy pop cola and you've got Coca-Cola, okay? And you look at fizzy pop cola and it's 50 cent, and you look at Coca-Cola and it's €2, and you go, Most people will go, I'll go for the €2 Coke. And the reason behind that is fundamentally what the brand is. And it's not to do with Coca-Cola. It's actually to do with that Coca-Cola symbol says, this is consistently the same.
Okay.
You can rely on your €2 being well spent because this is going to be the same as you had last week.
Yes.
This is literally going to be the same as you had last week. And you go,
they trust.
I can value that because it is worth my €2 because I really enjoy that and I'm going to pay my Coca-Cola monies. On the other side of the equation, you look at the fizzy pop and you go, that's 50 cent. I'm probably not going to like that and I'm probably going to throw it away and then I'm going to buy the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, yeah. And we have to think of it like that.
And it's a value system. The same for McDonald's. Like Coke, McDonald's, any of the big brands that cost us, they're not the best. The brands you see on high streets.
McDonald's isn't good gourmet food.
No, it's not.
It's the same.
It's the consistency of it.
Yeah.
It's you know that you're €5 or €10. You know what you're getting. You know it's repeatable. It's the same. It's consistency. It's not about glossy brands. It's all about the fact that when you show up, that the delivery of the system or product is identical. Okay, and if I just jump back a second, right? So I've coached a restaurant. That was a long time ago, and they had two different chefs. One chef made lasagna in a particular way. One chef made lasagna in a different way, right? Okay. Chef A made lasagna, it was perfection, beautiful. Chef B, totally different lasagna, not good. Okay, so Sharon and her friends all arrive in on Monday, and they go, oh,
to die for.
That lasagna's amazing. Okay, let's go back to work and bring everybody in on Thursday when the other chef is on. Why do you taste this lasagna? And you rock in and you get, what the hell is this? Right? Inconsistent. Yeah. You're not going back to that restaurant.
Okay.
Because you now doubt which one you're getting. And was that a fluke? It's inconsistent.
Yes.
So the restaurant brand has been damaged. And that is the key for building a brand, that it's consistent. That's the whole thing about having a system that develops it, that's the same every time, that you get the same outcome from your value, your money that you're investing in a particular thing. You're guaranteed that it's going to come out the same. There's no inconsistency.
Having that in a business, you have to have the right structures, the right procedures, the right processes, everything. Yeah. And when you've nailed that, you are going to have consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So it's like ringing a very large company. You get person A and they say, no, you can't do that. And person B goes, yes, you can do that.
Mm. See it all the time, hear it all the time.
What? How?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Where you can actually do it, but just this person didn't really want to.
Or didn't really know, or wasn't really trying, didn't really care.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's always the fear. We're service-based as well, and like it's employees.
Yeah.
So the training has to be, but then you're relying on them to so you have to have the measures in place to check and make sure that stuff has been done, and you're on top of it all the time.
Yeah.
It is, and consistency. Look, as I always say, Ireland is such a small place, you can get a really bad reputation very, very quickly.
Yeah.
People will talk, and they may not say it to you. They may not ring up and complain, but they're saying it.
Yeah. And I think it's very important as a business owner and a business in its entirety for the team to understand that the consistency it's not a straitjacket. The consistency is a way of being able to say that this is the same every time. So if you think about the McDonald's, for example, you get your Big Mac and there's a tomato in the middle of the Big Mac, right? And you go up and complain to the manager. The manager goes, what? There's a tomato in the middle of your Big Mac? Okay, that doesn't usually happen. So you get down to the Big Mac counter and someone's there and they say, I love tomatoes on Big Macs. I love it. My favourite. Every lunch break I put a tomato on. Great. So I've decided to put that into everybody's Big Mac, right? And you're going, wow, this is so bad that this could get to the newspapers, and this is probably going to go back to McDonald's head office. This could affect the share price of McDonald's, because people are going, McDonald's in chaos, there's tomatoes on Big Macs, it's all gone to pot. It could get into the newspaper in Ireland. Somebody's ringing up McDonald's HQ. What do you think about the disaster?
Tomatoes in the
tomato fiasco in McDonald's. It's all falling apart here. And people are going, McDonald's is crumbling.
Yeah.
Does that make
Sell
sense?
your stock. Sell your shares.
Yeah, because the consistency has been damaged.
Yeah. So it's something to think about.
It is
so important, and it can easily happen. And let's think about then businesses that are looking to scale. So when you've set up a business, it's going well, you're making money, you're looking at your numbers, you're saying, okay, and you're like, okay, I want to grow this. Yeah. I want to move to the next level. And that can be from 200 grand to 400 grand. It can be from 1 million to 5 to 10. Yeah. What does that look like, and how, I suppose, give us some mistakes that people make, and then what should they be doing at that point?
Well, if I give you a silly story, which I find is good for explaining the whole process, right? And then the correction of that silly story is the outcome, right? So I won't talk about business, but I will talk about a sporting team. So let's imagine for a second that we're looking at my son's under-11 soccer team. Okay? And on the soccer team is a super player, incredible player. He or she is all over the place, scoring goals galore, and the team consistently win. Okay. All the team were delighted. Won the cup again, won all the medals, won everything. Great. So a few years of this go by, and then somebody goes, hey, there's a super player over there. And it's on a pretty good team, but this is a better team, so let's take the super player. Okay? So the super player leaves the team and goes off to another team to play over here. So what happens to my son's football team when they go out to play football next week?
Capitulates.
Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows how to do their positions.
Nobody knows how to score a goal.
Nobody knows anything. Delighted to be in the glory and all the stuff. Nobody knows how to play. Nobody knows the strategy. No, because the super player was doing everything. Was picking up pieces from everybody. Was basically undermining everybody else's position. In fact, people would give out to the super player for saying, you didn't tackle that person properly. I'm sorry. Should have been there. Okay? Now, that's the business owner.
I am hearing this.
That's the business owner.
Yeah.
Right? Now, here's the solution. So the coach on the sideline says, oh, I've got a super player. That can be good, or that can be not so good.
Yeah.
So the coach would say to the super player, and again, this is all simplification, but the coach would say to the super player, whereabouts on the pitch is your favourite position? Where do you want to play? And he or she might say, I might play in midfield. I seem to like that. Great. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to be a super midfielder. Okay? And you're going to learn how to do that. And we're going to teach all the rest of the people to support you in their particular positions. Okay? And you go, okay, so you teach the defenders how to defend. And when the super player is moving outside of their particular areas, you bring them back, focus on this area, let them play, and all of a sudden the team starts to develop around the super player. Okay?
Brilliant analogy, love it.
But instead of putting an ad, and this is what I'm talking about growing your business, instead of putting an ad in the paper saying, I need a super player to play in 11 different positions on the football pitch. They need to be a good team player, they need to be detail orientated, they need to be fast paced, they need to be everything to everybody, right? And you put that in the LinkedIn post or the jobs.ie and you get no response. Yeah. Versus, I need a central midfielder to take over these roles while I develop another team over here or do something else. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
So it's a silly example.
And that's what's happening. Yeah. But like that rang true to me because it's like I am in everything and I can't get out because I think nobody else can do it because I'm doing it. And exactly when you said, And people have said to me, why didn't you say that to that customer? People have said that to me in my team.
Yeah.
And because I'm thinking to myself, I'm picking up your mess.
Yep.
I'm looking up after everything that you've not done. And it's so true. So when you just focus on one element and build the rest of the team to support you in that, that's a better business, and that's how you scale.
That's how you scale. And it's a simple
It sounds
story,
simple, yes.
But again, it's which player do you start with? How do you do that? How do you get it all up and running? Because again, there's 11 problems, or if you have a bigger team, there's 15 problems looking at you going, we're all problems.
And you're a solution.
Yeah.
And there's one solution, it's usually the founder.
Yeah.
Because they have done everybody's role at some point throughout the thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, just do this, this and this.
Yeah.
And I have this thing that I do in the business, and they know it now. If they ask me, we have chat, I won't answer them.
Good.
I'm starting this now. I'm saying, no, figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And they have to go back and look for the answer.
Yeah.
And I wait and wait and wait, because I was going straight in. So I was on edge all of the time, Eddie.
Yeah.
Because the phone was with me. So I could be in a meeting with you and I see a chat coming in saying, Sharon, can you show me X, Y and Z? I can't. I'm like, oh yeah, answering the chat.
Yeah.
But nobody's thinking for themselves. So I started this now where I just say, do not answer them. Stop.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Let them find a way themselves.
Let me give you some tools for this. I find a lot of times when people are asking the business owner a lot of questions, is there isn't a meeting structure that's functional, first of all. Secondly then, is the business owner is very eager to answer the questions, to get the stuff done, to get the customer okay.
Yeah.
But actually, what you're doing is you're making sure that the customer comes before your business. And you need to step back a second and go, hold on. If I'm in business for myself, I need to make sure that I'm okay.
Okay.
I can only give from a position of strength. My business is strong, and now I can answer the customer. And this this leads back into.
It's hard to do though.
Yeah,
because you want to answer. You're like the customer.
You're sort of your fingertips are tearing into the table.
Yeah, it is, because I'm saying answer her, because what they're left. Because I keep thinking the customer's on the other side left waiting. We can't leave them waiting.
But that's you.
Okay.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's managing that sense of urgency.
Is that normal or am I abnormal?
No, you're perfectly normal.
Right, okay.
Most business owners are fast-paced and want to get stuff done and are very success-oriented. Finish the thing, get it done, let's get moving on.
Let's go next.
Yeah, but that piece has to be managed properly. And I'm not saying you need to stop it, but you do need to manage it so that your business is first and then the customers are second, because like you'll know this from credit collection, right? Is that if someone says to you, here's €5, you go, oh, thank you very much. If they say to you, here's my last €5 and that's me, I'm homeless, you go, back up the truck there for a second, hold on, what do you mean? Say, I'm giving you my last €5, I've nothing else, I know I owe you some. You go, no, I'll tell you what you do. Pay me one now and then pay me another, because I'm going to keep the customer.
Yes.
Okay? And we don't have that concept to say, well, am I protecting the business first and then am I protecting the customers? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So we're putting the customers first, and people, very often say the customer's always right, to a certain extent. We've got to make sure our business is right, because they're expecting us to run our business and to run it well, so that we'll be in business for a while, and we're either a supplier to someone or a customer.
Yeah.
Because if we're let's say that I'm a customer of somebody, okay, and I go out of business, that's like, oh no. They've gone out of business. Now we've got to get another customer.
Yeah.
Okay. They would rather have a structure that is manageable than lose customers, because they're trying to give too much away, or they're not managing their own business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
They're expecting you to be a good business owner. And if you ask them for money and they say yes, and they give it all away and close down, you're like, I didn't want you to close down. I wanted you to run the business properly. Yeah. If you had a problem, just tell me, we'll sort it out, because you'll be in business for 20 years instead of me just getting the last bill paid and now you're gone. I don't want that. I want you to be in business, but this is the thing, is customers or business owners expect your business to be run well and for you to be a proficient, efficient business owner and to run it properly. That's what they expect.
Yeah.
And you don't see that from the outside. You just think the business is working well. You don't see the inner mechanisms.
No, and you want to provide the top quality service. Like I'm a maniac about service. I'm a maniac about answering emails, customer.
Yeah.
Give them, I'm a maniac about it. But so if I see a ball going to drop, I'm running to make sure it doesn't. And I could see then at certain times of the year that I'm like wrecked. But like at the end of last year, I was exhausted because every time a ball was going to drop, I wouldn't let it happen.
Yeah.
But I was the one making sure it didn't.
Yeah. But here's a very important point to that, Sharon. And that is that if you're saving everybody, you're promoting them to do it more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
And again, much like the super player example, is they're stepping back off a bit more, going, super player's going to come in and take this now.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah, and then if I'm not available, that's why I started, and it's so hard because your reaction is to do it. So I wait now, and sometimes I'm holding my breath, but I wait. And some people will fix it, and some people will just sit back and wait for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have to decide if they're the right person in the business.
Yeah, now you've actually uncovered the problem now.
Yeah.
So you say, well, I took away the ability for those people to self-solve and to move upwards and to be better team members. I took that away, right? And then when I took it away from these people, they actually did worse.
Yeah.
But what I've actually done was I've taken the team members who are really good and want to move forwards, and I've stifled their growth.
Yeah.
Okay? I've made them sit in a holding position while I mammied or did whatever these people over here,
that's
right?
That's exactly what it is. It's mammying them.
Yeah. And they're going, oh, my shoelaces, mammy, you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, come here, and I'll tie them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly it.
But that's the piece. So the people over here that you're taking care of are taking a lot of energy and effort from you. And the people over here that want to give you more energy, you're holding them back because everyone's at the same, does that make sense, the same level.
So that is just so true. And I'm glad that I'm not just the only one that's doing this.
No.
I think it's, because you do want your business to be successful, and you do want to make sure you have happy customers, and you want to go forward. And so that's a muscle that I'm working on at the moment. It's just to stop and not solve everyone's problems.
Yeah, that's a really important one because
as we're growing, I can't.
You can't. And how do you go on holidays?
I don't.
How do you go on holidays? Like you sort of go, you're on your boat somewhere and wherever, or you're away somewhere in Spain, or you're on your villa, wherever you are, and you're lying back and your phone is ringing saying, what are we going to do about customer number 2? And you go, oh yeah, send them this thing, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then your partner is saying, like, I thought you're on holidays here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my life.
You've hard baked yourself into this corner because you're answering all the questions.
Yeah.
You're not facilitating them becoming a team and stepping up and taking some of the pressure and responsibility off yourself.
Yeah, because I suppose that's so true. So for scaling a business, I suppose the team is so important.
Yeah.
Get that team structure, and having a coach like you will tell us what structure we need, what key people we need, and when.
Yeah.
So, you can't do it all. You won't wake up tomorrow and say, right, I need a finance director, I need It's a slow process.
And the thing that's very important to understand is perfection impedes progress. So you're never going to be perfect. You're always aiming for 80 to 90, 100%. When I say 100%, I'm saying you're aiming for that, right? But you have to be aware that, so let's say that I want to grow the perfect business from point A to point B, right? And I realize that I need to have 100 people in this business, and I need to have it all shaped like that. Great. Okay. So I set about designing a business that has 100 people in it, and I do all their jobs and all their roles and responsibilities, not everything. But I haven't taken on my first employee. You haven't even proven the concept that the business is actually capable of doing 100 people.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, look, I'll fudge it until I get the first person, and then I'll fudge it again a little bit.
Yeah. And
the analogy that I use is you're building a statue, and you've got a big block of granite, and you go, okay. So you say to someone, I'm building a big statue of a person. Lovely. Okay. And you start. And they come back and they go, oh yeah, I see you've chipped the outline there. I can make out the head and the legs. I can sort of see where you're going. Yeah, okay. And then you take the other person who's trying to detail everything. And you come back and you look and you go, what are you doing? Well, I'm just doing a perfect eye here. It's just really, and you go, I can't really see. Is this a statue? yeah, I can't see where you're going with this. How do you bring team members in?
And no one can see the vision.
But no one can see
what's happening. Yeah.
Say, oh yeah, I see the shoulder's a bit high, but we can work on that. Yeah, that's great. And then you can engage people saying, well, you work on the leg, you work on the arm, you work on this, you work on the head, you're good at the ears. Great, okay, and you go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you're just saying, like, I'm going to work on this perfect eye. And but who's doing the shape?
Where are we? Where are we going? Yeah.
What type is it? Is a man or woman?
Yeah, and that's somebody who's just cutting hair, who's just doing the thing, who's just who's not focused on growing the business. Yeah. And that's, so it is important. And I think when we think about, I've worked with coaches, I've worked with all different types of people. I think it's important. We wouldn't do anything else in life if we wanted to go to the Olympics. And that's where we want to go to in business. It's the Olympics.
Yeah.
You need to have a coach.
You do.
Or two coaches.
And I think there's a couple of things about the Olympics that there's another story that I use to highlight certain parts of how businesses operate. But the other one that you mentioned there, the motivational coach. And motivational coaches are great, but much like you're going to into a tennis game, you don't quite know the strategy or how to play tennis, but your coach on the sideline is saying, you're great, you can do it. And you consistently try, but you don't get anywhere. Because you need a little bit of direction in terms of the structure, the strategy of the game, not necessarily loads of emotion. Because you can be a highly motivated person that's going in the wrong direction and rush that way and not really understand the direction that you're supposed to be in.
And the game that we're playing.
Yeah, but let me give you the rowing story. If my clients are watching this, Jesus, he's on the rowing story. He's on this again.
Yeah, but so many people don't know you, so they don't know. I haven't heard any of these, so this is...
So the rowing story that I use, and it goes slightly off topic, but it'll come back. The rowing story is about, for instance, I decide that I'd like to go out rowing on a river or lake, just something that I'd like to do, something that's like been there, and I think, I might like that. So I go into my local rowing club and I meet a person, bit gruff, and they say to me, oh, you want to do rowing, do you? Yeah, okay, we'll be here on Monday at 6 a.m, 2 hours, Monday to Friday, every day. And I go, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Let me just get back to you on that. Oh yeah, okay. And I think to myself, that's way too much. So potter on, this thing is in the back of my head, rowing, still haven't sourced it. So I find another club not too far away, and I go in and I meet the rowing team manager, and he or she will sit with me and go, what do you want to row for? Oh, I just think it's great and blah blah blah, and they engage with you and you think, this is liking this. And then they say something like, would you like to go to the Olympics? And I go, the Olympics? Yeah, would you like to go to the Olympics? And you go, how would I go to the Olympics? Well, we have an injury on our Olympic rowing team. It's 4 years out. They're really good. And you seem like you're the right fit for this team. They're amazing. And we get you up to speed really quickly. And you go, yeah, actually I would. I'd love to go to the Olympics. What do I have to do? And the coach or the manager says, to be here at 6 a.m. on a Monday, 2 hours, Monday to Friday. Can you do that? And I go, to go to the Olympics? I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next thing that happens then is you arrive at the Olympic rowing team. And the Olympic rowing team are like, we have some rules here,
Yeah.
10 to 6 you arrive. We're in the boat at 6 o'clock. We do a full 2 hours, no farting around. You look after your diet, you look after your weight outside, you do this, we go on holidays together, as in we take the same week off. If you're going to be absent or sick, you let us know, okay? And you go, okay, I get this, because we're the Olympic rowing team.
Yeah.
We're setting a high standard. The manager doesn't need to be there then. The coach doesn't need to be there. The team, the peer, the person who's sitting next to you is so engaged in what they need to do that they're saying, get your act together. You're 5 minutes late. Like, come on. You're in the Olympic rowing team here.
Love it.
Does that make sense?
Love that.
And that's your culture, vision and mission for your business.
I love that.
When you have that in place.
When you have that right, when people believe we're going to the Olympics, they'll put the work in. Yeah. They'll put the effort in.
They know they're on the Olympic team. They know they're in the Olympics. They know they're trying to hit something that's impressive, and they can tell their friends.
That's so good. That's so powerful, because it does make you think, do we look like the Olympic team?
Yeah, are you in the Olympic team in your marketplace?
Love it.
Probably
That's
not.
absolutely brilliant.
Because you haven't set that Olympic standard. You haven't set we're going to go interstellar here with our company and our business. And maybe everybody doesn't want to be interstellar, but there is a point of setting a bar that says we need to be this good, we need to be this quality. And the team then can set their own culture by saying, how are we going to do that? How do we hit the Olympics? Well, we need to do this, this, and this. We need to have that. And the business owner, and I'm going to just flick back for a second, that's called the rowing team owner. The business owner has to be able to say, what do you need? Oh, we need the top gear. Got it. What else do we need? Oh, we need diet coaches. Got it. What else do you need? That's the strategic.
And they're not in saying, you're late.
Yeah.
You're late. Where were you? It's 9:05. You're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. Their job is different. I love that. That's so powerful. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. I could listen to this all day. So listen, tell us, if people want to reach out to you or one of your colleagues, tell us what way Action Coach works. How do they meet you? So do you have scope for more people?
Yeah, we do, definitely. So to become an Action Coach client, you're not going, I want to be a client. There's a process to it.
Okay.
It's not...
You don't take on anybody.
No, it's not.
You have to have a...
There has to be something there. Because if you think of it like this, like, I just want to improve a little thing in my business. You go, well, that's not really a journey for me. I want to be doing something, that's going to be good. But secondly, it's about, is the person coachable? Are they engaged in actually improving? Do they know it all? And I've met lots of business owners that know everything. Okay. Know everything. Yeah. Oh, you know how to do that, know how to do that. You go, you know what, this isn't going to work.
They're not coachable.
No, they're not coachable. So there's a process to go through, because I've got to see the opportunities in their business and go, look, I can see that there's 4 or 5 opportunities that if we really focus on that, this is going to just
take off.
Be amazing.
Yeah, and it's a great journey then for you to go on.
It's great for me.
You're invested then.
Yes, it's the two of us are sort of exciting each other, if you like.
Brilliant.
It's that journey, the parallel.
Together.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. So just look me up, Eddie Walsh at Action Coach.
Yeah.
Find us on Google.
Brilliant. And you're on LinkedIn as well.
On LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Eddie, that was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And I think, even for me, I've learned so much today. And I think it's a scary place, and people don't want to admit that they're terrified. Some days I wake up and I am terrified. I'm like, oh my God, at this. And you need somebody that has done it, that knows what they're talking about, to help you build the business that you want. I want the Olympics for the business.
Yeah, great.
So you need somebody, that's going to help you get there, because you can't do it all on your own.
No, if you want to do it all on your own, you're actually making it very difficult. And I'll give you an example, a silly example, Sharon, right? So let's imagine that someone says, what do you do? And you go, oh, I'm an Olympic swimmer. Oh, great. Okay. What else? Oh, I'm a grade 8 piano player. Okay. What else do you do? Oh, I'm a fencer. I'm a champion.
Stop believing.
And after a period of time, you're like, 2 of them maybe, 3, 4, 5 amazing things.
No.
And you can't be amazing at everything, right? But you can have people who are amazing at everything, that you can ask them to do things.
Yeah.
And you can do the things that you're amazing at.
Yeah.
But if you try and do everything all the time, you're not going to succeed.
You'll be amazing at nothing.
Correct. That's exactly it.
Absolutely love that.
You won't have time to be amazing at the things that you're actually good at.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Eddie, thanks so much for
You're
today.
very welcome.
It was absolutely brilliant. So if you do like this episode, please share it with somebody. I think anybody who's in business needs to hear this. So do share it with everybody. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple, we're on YouTube. So please do share it with your friends. Thank you very much.